What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room yet again, always with another one. And yes, indeed, it is another one. So I have a young lady here off the tickety of talks, you know, and she has a situation to, she's trying to shame men that are not wanting to engage with her for relationships or anything like that because she has, a STD. She has herpes and things like that. And my thing of this is yes, certain things like that, yes, by law you have to divulge your status when you get into relationships and engaging in sexual activity with people. And it's up to that person to whether or not they want to, get with you. And this goes for both sides, both men and women. And you should not sit around here and actually try to shame a person because they don't want to, get with you because of said things. If they don't have said things, or I, listen, look, let's go here now. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
About this publicly for a long time, for years. And every time I almost work up the courage I can't put the words together, and I get worried about the fact that I'll get negative backlash. But I finally have reached a point where I think the positive impact is going to outweigh the negative backlash. And I could be completely wrong, but I'm going to do my best to try. Today, I was rejected for sharing this exact thing with someone who I recently started seeing, and they said that they could not overcome it and they couldn't look past it. And I can count on one hand, two fingers, two people who have rejected me for this exact thing. And I am done. I'm done being rejected, and I'm done being vulnerable, and I'm done having this conversation with people who are not worth my time and energy. So there's a couple.
Now, hold on, young lady. Hold on. People that you saying are not worth your time and energy, but at the same time, though, too, you were actually engaging with these people. So at first, before you actually told them the information, and also you and them both felt like each other's time and energy was worth putting into each other. So yes, at this point, you did have to reveal to them the status of, your health status, basically, before y'all got intimate, before y'all got too deep. And be honest with you, yes, shout out to the young lady for actually doing the right thing, because there are people out here that do not do that. And that's not right. That's not right. And in certain, definitely situations, stuff like that, people can be charged for not divulging their status if they have something that's, truly high like that. I mean, that's detrimental like that. But the thing of this is you shouldn't sit there and feel some type of way because people are turning you down, because the men that you want are turning you down because of what you're telling them that you have and things like that. That comes along with the situation. Men get turned down all the time. And my gripe about this situation is yes, young lady, you're bringing something to the table that if a man does not have that and he does not actually want to engage and take the risk like that, you can't shame somebody because they don't want to take that risk with you.
Couple reasons why I want to share it. One, that I want to be super open so that people know exactly what I'm bringing to the table, and this included. Two, I think there's so much more of a stigma around it. Stigma when it's really more an emotional journey than a physical journey. Um, and three, I think there are so many, I know statistically, there are so many people who have gone through or are going through the exact same thing as me, and they feel awful. And I don't want you to feel that way anymore. You don't deserve that, and neither do I. 7 years ago, I hooked up with a guy a few times, and I was super diligent and always have been super diligent about getting checked for STDs, getting tested regularly for STDs, having that conversation, which I do think is important among adults. If you are not comfortable having conversations like that, then you're not ready to have sex, my friend. So I had that conversation with this person, and they lied straight to my face. And that lie resulted in me contracting two STDs, one that was curable and one that is herpes. Maybe someday I'll share that whole story. But I've gotten to a point in my life where I don't want to give that person too much power. And I've worked really hard over the past 7 years to not talk about it too much, because it feels like I'm revisiting it and it dredges up all those negative emotions. But if not for an incredible OBGYN who held my hand 7 years ago and told me that it was going to be okay, and told me that we were going to figure it out, and that it's not the end of the world, it doesn't change who I am. And we're going to.
No, sorry, but yeah, it does. And these are the facts. And it's not changing who you are as a human being, as far as you as a person, how decent of a person that you are, things like that. No, it's not changing that. It's changing the status of your health, and also what you are bringing to the table when you come to the table. And this goes for both men and women. It's not just her. This goes for both men and women. And these are the things that we need to actually talk about and understand when we're dealing out here with our sexuality in society, and what we're trying to do, especially when we get off in these long-term relationships, or even with these hookups, especially with this hookup culture. And it's crazy to me that she would sit there and be like, she's feeling some type of way because the men that she have a liking for are not wanting to engage with her after the point that she tells them, because she's telling them up front. Like I said, shout out to her for that. But she's telling them up front what's going on with her, and they're not wanting to engage. But you can't expect people to want to take on your burdens in life. And this goes for not even just with STDs or anything like that. This goes for any other burden that you may have, financially, spiritually, emotionally, things like that. You cannot expect people to take on your burden.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
This goes for both men and women. For men and women now. You can't expect people to take on your burdens.
Medicate you, and we're going to figure it out. If not for her, I would not be here today. I would not be here. I was so low. My self-esteem was non-existent. My self-worth, my vision of myself, I slut shamed myself, and which is laughable because at the time my body count was so low. It had nothing to do with the number of people I slept with or my lack of diligence, because that was there. It's just statistically super probable that if you're sleeping with people that you might get it.
Yes, that's definitely true. It doesn't matter the size of the body count, anything like that. That doesn't matter. If you're sleeping around, you could possibly get, what I'm saying, a transmitted disease. Period.
I just looked up some facts that are helpful for me to see. And the World Health Organization says that 64% of the world population has herpes. 64%. So that means that if you're not sitting there with it, that someone you know has it. And it might not just be me.
But she's talking about 64% of the world's population. That's the world. To break this down to each society, to each country, 64% of the world is a small percentage once you break that down to each country, what we're talking about. So yes, it's not a lot of people that may have that particular thing once you break it down to each country out of 64% of the world population.
But I'm not here to give you facts. I'm not a doctor. All I know is my personal experience. And my personal experience has been that it was more of an inconvenience. I had one outbreak. It was emotionally awful. And I got on medication, and that medication suppresses my symptoms. And I personally don't experience outbreaks. I don't. And I know that everyone's different, but it's much more of an emotional baggage that I have to carry around. And I choose to share with people that I want to date because I want to give them the opportunity to have a conversation with me, to get the information that they need to feel comfortable and safe so that we can focus on the fun things that life has to offer.
No, ma'am, you have to do that. Sorry. You have to do that. That you choose to date, or that you choose to get intimate with. You have to do that. And a lot of people don't understand this. This is very real. This is very real.
By sharing it with each other. So yesterday I told someone who I started seeing that just that. I told them, my version of the story, and offered to answer any questions, and said, please go get information that you want to get to feel comfortable. Please go get tested and ask all the questions you have, because it's really hard to get preventative testing for, because they won't typically test you unless you're experiencing symptoms. And this person rejected me.
And that's the thing. From what she's saying, as far as what she experienced with the doctors and stuff like that, that they won't test you for certain things unless you're experiencing symptoms. But that's the point right there. Nobody wants to get to the point to where they're experiencing the symptoms before they need to get tested.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
And at that point, you self-preservation is the number one rule of the nation. And I mean, like, for the majority of people, it's kind of hard to self-delete. And what I mean by that is, for somebody to tell you that they may have a major STD or a major disease and stuff like that, and to engage with them sexually, and by nature, you're going to instantly resist that. It's not that you don't understand that that person is not a good person. It's not that they're not a good person, or just this god awful being and things like that. It's not that. It's just that, as you're telling me that you have such and such or whatever it is, as a human being, my natural survival kicks in at that point, and it's like, yes, I know that this particular thing will be bad for my health on a major scale. Excuse me, on a major scale. Then yeah, I'm gonna reject it. I get it. We do all types of crazy things out here. People, we smoke, drink, eat unhealthy food, stuff like that. It's certain things that as human beings, we know that, eating that burger may just not be the most healthiest for us, but it's a totally different scenario when you're talking about a STD. Like, I mean, it's totally different. That's a whole different mindset that you're in, and a whole different thought process of self-survival that kicks in between a burger and an STD. Like, come on now, let's just keep this honest.
And it's fucking horrible. It's fucking horrible. And like I said, 2 people Of all the people I've told, of all the people I've dated, 2 people have rejected me this way, and I was seeing them for less than 3 dates. So that to me means you don't know me. You're not ready to make the time and effort to know me. You're not a mature adult, and you
Okay, so before she keep diving, she's saying out of all the people that she's told, so that means that there were other men before that she told these same things that actually went on ahead and engaged with her. So out of all the men that she told and things like that, from what she's saying right here, and we only going by what she's saying right now, only she had 2 men that rejected her and things like that. So these 2 men that didn't want to engage, they didn't want to take the chance. And I get it from their part too. They didn't want to take the risk and things like that. She's feeling some type of way from these 2 individuals that decided not to deal with her and things like that. And that's just not cool. That's not cool. You have to accept the plight that the path that you're on, basically. We all have paths and stuff like that in this world, and we move accordingly to set path, regardless of whether whatever path is on, financially, whatever, sexually, any path. And once we start going down these roads and these paths and things like that, we have to accept the consequences that come with set path, the good and the bad. And these are the things that definitely women need to accept, what I'm saying, and men as well. We cannot sit around here and expect people to you know be okay with our path and stuff like that, and it's just going to be okay. Like, no, some people are not going to want to go down the path with you, and that's okay, because it may not be where they want to go, and that's just life.
you're not in a headspace to have hard conversations. If this is how you're showing up at the first sign of something difficult, then you're likely not my partner. You're someone else's partner, but my partner is going to see me fully, and they're going to see this as like, oh, okay, cool, we'll figure it out.
Okay, if that's the case, then ma'am, like you said, you've told basically you've told other men about your situations, and you said 2 have turned you down. So the other men that you told, they actually went on ahead and engaged with you. Why didn't they stick around? Why didn't they feel like enough that you was enough of a woman and you had enough grace and femininity and structure and everything about yourself to keep you? Not only that, why didn't they want to actually take on your plight and help you down the path as well?
Like, there are worse things. Life is going to throw some awful things our way, but you need someone by your side who sees you, who cherishes you, who protects you, who adores you.
I agree with
And
that. I agree with that. You do need someone by your side that's going to ride with you. But it depends on whether or not that person wants to ride with what you are bringing to the table and things like that. And like I keep saying, that goes for both men and women.
that's what I want too. So if you're sitting here and you don't have it, I hope you don't get it. I don't wish it on anyone, and I make every effort possible to not give it to anyone. To my knowledge, I haven't given it to anyone in 7 years of having it. But if you're sitting here and you have it, one, I'm sorry, because you probably have a story similar to mine, but we're the cool kids because we have a superpower. And if you choose to share with someone this vulnerable information and open up the conversation so that you two can cross a really tough bridge early on, you're going to know right away if that person is potentially your person. So if you hear all this information, you've made it this far, and you choose to judge me, go for it. Keep it to yourself. But I need everyone to know this because I'm not going to go through this pain again. I'm not going to go through this rejection again. I want everyone to know I have it because it's not a big deal. It's not who I am. I'm so much more than this.
And that's not what people are saying to you, baby. You know what I'm saying? Heartedly, who you are as a human being. Of course, that's not who you are just necessarily as a human being, but it also adds on to, like I keep saying, what you're bringing to the table for the next human being that you want to actually engage with and be with and things like that, and also be intimate with. That's a huge factor about being intimate with a person. And part of one thing, of course, about relationships with which we all know is being intimate is a huge part of a relationship. And it's going to matter to certain people. And as far as what she's saying about not ever being rejected again and things like that, she's going to keep getting, rejections and stuff like that. Not every man is going to want to, engage with that. This is just the truth. Not every man is going to want to, deal with her plight and things like that. If she wants to, keep searching for, somebody that's going to want to be with her, and they could be happy together. So yeah, this is crazy, but it's just the truth. It's nowhere around this situation right here. When you have things like that going on in your life and you divulge issues like this, for both male and female, you're going to get a level of rejection that you're going to have to deal with. Because if you are telling somebody that does not have that same plight that you have, or can't understand that, or things like that, or just they understand it, but they just don't want to walk that path with you, then yeah, you're going to have a serious level of rejection.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
Yeah. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers out there. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.